Hey guys, welcome back to the Tex-Mex channel. Today we have a 2015 Jeep Wrangler with a 3.6. I think they call it the Pentastar motor. Came in on a rollback last night overheating, so let's figure out why. So we noticed when we pulled the car in that the check engine light was on, so the first thing we'll do just to kind of see what's going on is see if there's any clues in here. It's got a oil temp sensor, low input, and engine coolant temp. Now the 116 I know it'll throw that code if it runs really hot. I'm not quite sure about the 197. My guess would be those are built into the same cooling unit, the oil cooler. So this thing may have just gotten really hot because the oil pressure gauge is working. So anyway, we'll just kind of cover our bases here looking at this, and then we'll move on to looking at the cooling system. First thing we're going to do is check the coolant. We just pop the cap off. This car sat overnight, so it's not hot. It's a little low, so we're just going to top it off with some water because chances are we're going to have this system apart to fix whatever the problem is. We'll just drain it back out. We're going to top it off with water. Our jug, our reservoir here, I don't know if you can see that, it's got coolant in it. It really wasn't too low, but now we'll go ahead and pressure test it to see if we have any leaks anywhere. We're going to use a coolant pressure tester. This is a thing that you can get as a loaner tool place, or if you're going to be doing any type of automotive work like this, they're pretty cheap. You can just pick one up. So we're going to test it to whatever the cap says, which will be, there we go, 18 psi. So it held pressure. We put 18 pounds on the system, held pressure. We looked around trying to find any leaks anywhere, couldn't find anything. It really wasn't that low. So now what we're going to do is, I like to put a spill-free funnel on it and start it up, and we'll kind of watch to see if it's got any exhaust gas coming out of here. We'll start it up and try to get it to see what conditions it overheats at, try to duplicate the problem. So we've been in here for a little while now. I had it revved up around 3,000 RPMs or so. It's starting to get pretty warm now. I can hear that the cooling fans are on, so and it's not bubbling over in the overflow. One thing I did notice though is I just turned the heat on. That's a good way to tell if you're getting any coolant flow, is if you've got heat. I have no heat right now, so I'm thinking that for some reason we don't have flow, whether it's a stuck thermostat or a bad water pump, a blockage somewhere. But that's kind of what we're leaning towards right now. So let's kind of go feel some hoses and stuff, maybe see if we get a little bit of an indication on what's going on with it. Back outside the car now. Kind of put my hand, the trusty thermometer here, on both the upper and the lower hose, which is a little harder to get to, but I got to it earlier. Both of them seem cool. Doesn't seem like there's any flow. So could be a thermostat. My first guess would be a thermostat. However, we know for a fact that we actually put a thermostat in this like 6 months ago. So the second suspect is a water pump, and the reason for that being is we have no flow, or doesn't seem like we have any flow, and I think that these impellers are plastic, and I think that they have a tendency to just break in half, so you just have a shaft spinning. So we're going to start taking stuff apart and try to get down to that water pump, take it off, and see if our suspicions are correct. Alright, so to get started, we're going to take off this air tube. It's going to be 1 8mm on this hose clamp, 2 10s, PCV hose right here that we've already taken off, and then just I think 2 clips over on that box, and we'll pull this whole thing off together. And this overflow kind of snaps in here. Just pull it out. There's also an air intake temp sensor there as well. So I think what we're going to do to get started is probably take this alternator off. If memory serves, I think that thing's on a big bracket and it'll come off this way. They conveniently made that face the wrong direction, and I'm just gonna go ahead and give you full disclosure, guys. Routing this belt is hard, so pay attention to how it comes apart, because I know that it's kind of a pain in the butt to do. So before you take the big wire off the alternator, you want to make sure that you disconnect your battery. That's a 10 mil on that negative post over there. Take that off. So I think that's the strategy we're going to use. So before we take this off, we're going to get the belt off of it. The belt is a 1/2 inch drive ratchet that has quite a bit of pressure on it depending on what angle you do. So now we'll start getting this alternator out of the way. What we're going to do is it's kind of on, move your hand, it's kind of on a bracket here. What we're going to do is we're going to try to take this whole bracket off. It looks like there's going to be 113 here. This bolt here is a 16. We're going to not mess with this bolt or that bolt because they just go into the alternator. And then these bolts here, they go through to the head. These are 15s. There's 2 of those. Then the B plus wire, which is a 13, and then the signal wires, which is a clip with a lock on. So our belt's in pretty good shape, and since this thing is just a pain in the butt to get routed, we just kind of pulled it up here to get it out of the way so that when we get the water pump off, coolant doesn't get on it and it squeal. Next step is we're going to take these 2 pulleys off. These are 2 13 mils. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 hoses off. There's a heater hose here and a radiator hose here. All that steam there lets you know that we're not faking any of this. Now we're going to be on to the water pump here. That's all we got left. It's kind of a tight fit between the water pump and the crank pulley, but I know it will come out. The water pump is 9 10mm bolts, and they kind of go around. The two at the bottom are kind of hard to get to from on top, but you can do it.
I may be wrong on that though.
Well,
So a test that you can do with to see if the thermostat's working is boil some water and put it in there, and the thermostat will say on the bottom what it is, but it'll be less than 212, which is what water is. And if it's working right, you ought to see that thing open up, and it's not moving at all. So let the record state that I said that it was I thought it would be a thermostat beforehand. My first guess would be a thermostat. Stuck thermostat, could be a thermostat.
to be honest, I'm really at the point of I think it just needs to we need to take the water pump off. How do we come to that conclusion? Well, we didn't find any leaks. Let's just take the water pump off and look at it. Well, I mean, it's like okay, the coolant's fine.
What are you gonna do, man? Aftermarket parts, they suck. Hey, how do you like your thermostat housings? Do you like them al dente or?
Well done.
Okay, let me put it back in. right, guys, just to say that we did show you, to try to make this somewhat educational. This is a thermostat housing. Before, when we had this tube off of it, that thing's real easy to get to. It's just two 10mm bolts and one spring clamp there. That's we didn't have to take all the stuff off that we did. But anyway, that's how you do that. Well, all right, guys, all that unnecessary work just to put a thermostat in it that we had already replaced 6 months ago. What do you got to do, man? It should serve as a lesson to you, to me, to both of us, that, you know, regardless of how much experience you have, don't get complacent. You know, the fact of the matter is, we should have followed what the diagnostics told us. The car acted like it wasn't getting flow. It wasn't, because the thermostat was stuck. We completely disregarded it because we had just replaced it, and it turned out to bite us. So the reality is, it would have been way easier to take those two bolts off and stick that thing in a pot of boiling water and check it. But we made way more work for ourselves, and frankly, you know, we're pretty embarrassed about it. We really debated a lot of different aspects of this video. Joe and I had our disagreements a lot of different times along the process of this, from what we were going to film to begin with, what we actually thought the problem was, whether to even continue filming it or not, whether to release it, and let's just say things got pretty tense. Hey, meet me in my office when you get here. You know, Joe's just being stubborn again, you know, costing everybody time. I just don't know how much more of this I'm going to put up with.
What's going on?
You know, I'm so sick of this constantly having to babysit you. I'm here trying to edit film. I got segments that don't have any context to anything. I mean, I don't get it, dude. Like, what is wrong with you?
Plenty of film there.
No, well, there's plenty of film here, but it doesn't do any good if it doesn't make any sense to anything else that we're doing.
Are you talking about the water pump car?
Yes, I am talking about the water pump car. The car shows up, and you just say, "Hey, let's take the water pump off."
Hold on.
No. The whole idea behind the channel was that we were going to give a comprehensive guide to diagnose and repair cars. And so
That
we
was a
started
legitimate
doing that. No, we started
diagnosis.
doing that. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a legitimate diagnosis. You were wrong. You said it was a water pump. I said the whole time I thought it was a
You
thermostat.
suggested you think what I would do the water pump.
Yeah, I said that it was
Thermostat.
a thermostat because it acted like it had a bad thermostat, which it turned out it did.
We just put a thermostat on it 6 months ago.
An aftermarket one.
What's wrong with having confidence in the aftermarket parts?
Because they're nowhere near as reliable as OEM parts.
Well, I gave them the option to do OEM or aftermarket, and they chose aftermarket.
That doesn't mean that you disregard what the diagnostics say.
I got to get the cars back to the customer, get them repaired, they're satisfied.
Well, then what's the point of having a YouTube channel at all?
All you do is sit here on the computer. I'm the one doing the work.
Meanwhile, I'm struggling through trying to create videos and make content out of it.
This was your suggestion.
We
but
both agreed on it.
We've been doing this for 10 episodes. Without me being here, there would be no content. If it wasn't for me, the place would go to crap and burn to the ground.
Yeah, I don't want to see you here anymore. You know what? That's completely uncalled for. You have no idea who you're messing with. Don't be messing up my quick place. And don't bother showing up for work tomorrow either because you're terminated. So anyway, you know, put another one in the books. We got this one done. At the end of the day, as long as the customer's happy, you know, we're happy. So we didn't show the installation of the stuff that we had taken off, but just watch the video in reverse if you made it that far. I recommend watch the video before you attempt any repairs on your own. We put the old water pump back on it. We did put an aftermarket gasket on it, so we look forward to that video where we go back and replace that water pump gasket 6 months from now. Anyway, guys, let us know what you think. Comment down below. You know, it's easy to get tunnel vision as mechanics. You know, we all have those stories, and you know, sometimes you got to swallow your pride and just admit that you screwed up. So let us know down in the comments, you know, what you think about the video. Feel free to share any stories you've had of similar things where you kind of got bit on something stupid. And you know, like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time.